Ravens make a trade for some wide receiver help, bringing in Diontae Johnson from the Panthers. Graz, how'd the deal go down?
Well, the Ravens have been looking for another wide receiver, another veteran wide receiver that they feel like they could play on the outside to help them play a little more 11 personnel, a little more in terms of 3 wide receiver sets, because they're one of the most infrequent users of that formation in the league this year. They feel like when they're able to do that, it'll help their run game because teams won't be able to load up to stop the run game. Just another presence as at pass catcher down the field to help them out. They like the 2 tight end stuff with Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews, but this will enable them to have more variations on the formations they can use offensively, and they think that'll help Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson a great deal.
And that's my concern. And that's why, while I love Diontae Johnson as a player, that's my concern is his addition more about Rashad Bateman and maybe playing for Bateman, or is it going to be to take one of those tight ends off the field at Ricard? To sit here and say, like, hey, this will help us run the football better, you're the #1 rush team in the NFL. Your play-action game is absolutely off the charts. You're unbelievably difficult to match up with. I mean, just look at this. I know they don't run a lot of 11 personnel. They are one of the best offenses in the league. And so my concern throughout this whole process has been, if they add a wide receiver, is it for depth or is it to change the identity or philosophy of their offense? If that's the case, I don't think that's the best thing for their offense.
I don't know if they'll change the philosophy. And even as you say, like, this will help them in 11 personnel, right? They have receivers on their team. They can put a 3rd receiver on the field. The accelerator is that Diontae Johnson is a man-to-man beater. He is an incredible route runner, right? And so what that means when you're setting whatever on 3rd down, if you're in 11 personnel, even if you're in 2 receiver sets, I think it turns out to be Zay Flowers on one side and Diontae Johnson on the other. And yes, Lamar Jackson makes those plays. He buys time. He gets throws on the field to the guys that he has. But that's not ideal. I want to be able to drop back, a guy get open immediately and get rid of the football. Diontae Johnson provides that outlet for Lamar.
But if you're telling me, like, I'm with you, Hawk, but if you're telling me it's those tight ends and Ricard and then, you know, a Zay and a Diontae on the field, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But if we're taking Andrews or Likely off or Ricard off, I don't believe that's their identity.
Graz, go ahead. Graz want to talk. Go ahead, Graz.
Well, again, I don't think it's about changing their identity. I think it's about giving them more options.
Optionality. Yep.
Yeah. That's what I thought. Like hearing Dan talk about it, obviously knowing that they've been having this success, formation flexibility. If you think about, like, we at the point now where teams are gearing for the playoffs, and I think Hawk Point was the best one when he talked about man beaters and having opportunities to be in that position if you have to be at some point in the season. I thought I was going to ask, too, Hawk, and for you, Dio, could this potentially put Zay in the slot and he be more effective in certain situations than he is lining up on the outside as a smaller receiver? Does that have potentially anything to do with this?
I think so.
Either one of y'all.
Zay can play inside. Diontae can play inside. When they do get in those 3 receiver sets, or even when they're going twins to figure out matchups with that separation and speed, even when it comes to just separation and route running, Zay Flowers is incredibly explosive. He does not run routes like Diontae Johnson.
Sure.
But he can go inside and run away from guys and, give quick surfaces. To your point about the 2 tight ends, that's a luxury. And now you have the ability to say, hey, we can use this, we can use that. I don't think it's a change in philosophy.
Dan's over here. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right?
Just remember, you only get 11. You don't get to play with 12. And last year, this offense that was really good at times tried to get too cute in the game that mattered the most. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, they brought in Derrick Henry, which it feels like in the games that matter most, like unlike what happened last year, you've got somebody who's a true closer in the run game. That would have helped then. I hear you. All right, listen, Dan, if you're right, we'll tell you.
For everything.
You mean by running this 6 times? I got you.
That wasn't enough.
They were too
that
cute.
didn't go. All right, so we are
cute.
just a few days away from the trade deadline. It's next Tuesday. Oh, that's a week away. I don't know what day it is. Graz, any other receiver names we should be looking out for that might be on the move?
Receivers, sure. Mike Williams of the Jets is a guy that a lot of teams have had their eye on. It's funny, last week the Jets played the Steelers, and we were thinking, oh, maybe they'll just leave him in Pittsburgh. This week they play the Texans, and maybe the Texans will want to leave town with Mike Williams. But, yeah, he's a guy that could be on the move for sure. Kendrick Bourne of the Patriots is another name to watch in terms of wide receiver. And if you're looking for somebody at another position, Zadarius Smith in Cleveland, for teams that are looking for edge rushers, that is a name that has stood out in terms of generating a great deal of interest so far in this trade season.
Okay, interesting. Hawk, let's focus on the teams that need a wide receiver. Like, which team should be active at the trade deadline?
I mean, we've talked about Mike Williams potentially.
I know
in
one.
The Chargers, they could use one. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers could use another wide receiver too, another pass catcher. Right? They have a good thing going with their offense with Russ. They can keep that going, adding another weapon there.
Who's Marcus think?
Marcus got somebody.
Obviously, I want to ask, is it any murmurings about this little Poe franchise in Dallas that ain't got no money ever
would be the
to
point?
do anything to improve their team?
Yeah, they got the D tackle.
They still got hope. Listen to that hope. It's so
They tend to make moves around the trade deadline. They're just not usually big, splashy ones. Everybody remembers Amari Cooper years ago,
man.
but that was the exception, not
They're
the
going to trade
rule.
for me.
Yeah, right.
They're going to call me. I'm going to be with
Bob's
Dallas
got some
Cowboys.
plays left in him. And listen, according to what we saw yesterday, Swag, if they need a
Hawk, we'll
backup
take you.
quarterback.
He said, "We'll take you."